Life doesn't move in straight lines. It twists, turns, and surprises us along the way. On Better Things Ahead, we talk to people who have walked those winding paths. Each story reminds us of the lessons, hope, and promise of better things ahead.
Welcome in. My name is Matt Cloyd.
I'm Michael Estes.
And we are the hosts of the Better Things Ahead podcast. We'd like to welcome you into season 2. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcast, we'd like to appreciate you for that. However, we do want to let you know you are missing out because we are in our brand new studio for season 2. We have a brand new set. So if you want to check us out on YouTube, we encourage you to do that so you can see our set. And then also as we welcome guests in throughout the season, and we can interact and show a few more things, and you get to know people a little bit more.
Yeah. Big thanks to Matt and producer Kelly for putting this thing together. It looks incredible. Hey, producer Kelly, you might say hey.
Hello, this is producer Kelly back here.
Yep, she's still here with us. She survived season 1. She's in for season 2. It's going to be great.
Reluctantly.
But,
it took a lot of convincing.
There's a place for that too. So, I'm excited about this season. I'm excited about the new setup. I think it looks great. I think it's going to just make us feel like right at home.
Sure.
People who come in right at home. So, I'm looking forward to the season.
Yeah, and that's kind of been our whole idea behind Better Things Ahead is creating an environment where you can have authentic conversations, and talk through things and life experiences that people have went through so we can, again, pass that knowledge on to future generations or the next person who might walk through those journeys. And so I do think kind of redesigning the set a little bit, creating a more comfortable environment to be able to have not only, our guests on, but we have now capabilities of having a few more guests, because there were a lot of times on our podcast for season 1, you or I would host strictly for spacing, And so now we have the opportunity where if we have a couple of guests on, we have the opportunity to do that. And so if you're listening in this first week and you would like to be a guest on Better Things Ahead and talk about a journey that you have been through, we'd love to hear from you. Feel free to reach out to us. We'll have our contact information listed in the notes. And so you're welcome to reach out and kind of let us know. So with Better Things Ahead, of course, I'll share a story real quick just to kind of break the ice. So, I'm actually fresh off of a trip. I was traveling by commercial airlines and
he wasn't flying his own plane this time.
I was not flying my own. I was flying commercially. And, we were traveling and we had a connection flight in Charlotte. And as, of course, this and, some of our listeners know this. I don't like attention on myself whatsoever. I like to be very incognito in everything I do. So this trip was no different. However, right before we board our flight in Charlotte, I start, I'm not feeling well. Start getting, a little nauseated, just not feeling good. I'd felt fine all day. Get on the plane. We get on the plane. And the air conditioning's not working.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. And so they said, we're going to be sitting here for about an hour while they work on the aircraft. Like, okay. So, we get in our seats. At this point, it's starting to get to me even more. And finally, I don't know, I probably made it 45 minutes or so in and, hit the little flight attendant button. I was like, is the lavatory open? Because I got to go. And they're like, yeah, it's fine. So I went back there. I feel terrible for the people who were in like the back 3 rows who had the opportunity to hear me projectile vomit in an airplane, in an airplane bathroom. Yes.
There's good news behind it. Keep going. Keep going.
Yeah. So did that. Came back out, and of course I have Whitney and Maverick with me at this point. They're starting to kind of freak out a little bit, and I'm like, well, I'll be fine, because my whole thought was if I can just get in the air, then I'll be fine. Like even if I have to go to the bathroom again, it's fine, So we sit there, probably sit another 10, 15 minutes. Of course I have to get up and go again, and then they, the flight attendant, he's doing a great job. Like he's very kind and like doing everything. He brought me a bag of ice and, all that sort of stuff. And he was kind of checking in on me and I was like, I'm fine. It's just, stomach flu, something, I don't know. And so, we finally get to the point where we start taxiing and like we're finally getting ready to head to the runway. And then, they didn't make me switch seats with the guy on the front row. And so like I had to go up front and sit because it was cooler up front. It wasn't. And so got up there and, ended up having to go again. And that time while I was in the bathroom, the flight attendant came and told Whitney that, hey, talk to the pilots and we're going to, go back to the ramp and evacuate you guys medically. Like, okay. And so he told me that when I came out, and I did everything I could.
The Matt Cloyd show all of a sudden.
I'm telling you, I told him the whole time, like, I'm a pilot, like, I'm fine. Like, let's just get this plane in the air. Like, and I've never pulled the pilot card, but I tried, did everything I could just to get us in the air. And of course, it was the right call. But did everything I could to get in there, So we taxied back to the ramp. And of course, everybody in the flight is mad, right? You can just feel people like staring me down. I'm like, what do you want me to do? There's a whole thing. And then like when he told me they were bringing emergency personnel, I was like, here we go. So sure enough, we pull up to the ramp. I have to sit there and wait for the emergency personnel.
Oh my God!
So
they wheel you out in a wheelchair.
So they did. So they came in, walked me out, put me in a wheelchair, wheeled me out to the concourse. These EMS guys, were asking me all these questions and making sure I wasn't like dying. They asked me if I had diabetes like 3 times. I'm like, no. I'm like, what are they trying to say?
Look, I have diabetes.
But yeah, he asked me if I had diabetes like 3 times. Like, no. I was like, I just must have ate something. I was like, I don't know. He's like, okay, well, tell me your name. Tell me your address. What's your zip code? Who's the president? Was Mickey Mouse a dog or a cat? And like was asking.
Either.
That's what I said. It was a trick question. He was trying to catch me so he could like take me, and he was like, "Well, like we recommend like you go to the hospital." I'm like, "I'm not going to the hospital. Like you can check my vitals and that sort of thing." I was like, "I'm not going to the hospital." My blood pressure, was low, because I was dehydrated and. So I didn't have like high blood pressure or anything, but it was a whole thing. And then they were just, I guess, like auxiliary EMS people. I don't even know. Because again, at this point I was extremely dehydrated. Like I had no color in my face. Like I felt like I could have went to the hospital, but because of this whole show that they had put on, I had no way.
I'm not doing that.
I am not doing that. And so then the real EMS people showed up, and they rolled up with a stretcher. I actually went to the bathroom and came out, and I see this stretcher waiting for me. Like, ain't no way I'm getting on this stretcher. I can barely walk, but I am not getting on this stretcher. And so he's talking to me. He's like, well, we can't force you to go to the hospital, but that's what we recommend. I'm like, no, I'm fine. I was hoping they would just like hook me up to an IV and give me some anti-nausea medicine and I would have been fine, and he's like, well, we could do that, but we have to do that on the way to the hospital. And I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. And so he gave me a couple of Zofran to take, and, I was like, I'll be fine. And then they're like, well, do you want a wheelchair to get out of here? And I was like, fine, I'll take the wheelchair. I'm glad I took the wheelchair because as we were zooming, that's a whole nother story Maverick will have to tell you, because him and Whitney trying to keep up with me and the wheelchair pusher, they didn't stand a chance. We were dipping and dodging through crowds, and it was just nice to have that cool breeze on my face. I just felt great. But yeah, so we kind of did all that. And once we finally got out, there's no way I could have made that walk. There's not a chance. So I'm glad I took the wheelchair. But yeah, it was a whole ordeal. So I say all that to say, catastrophes happen, but there's got to be better things ahead, right?
Yep. I hope so.
Gotta have somewhere to go for it. And so like here I am, couple days post. You
did actually make the rest of the trip.
I did make the trip the rest of the way. I didn't know that I was going to be able to. Getting put up in a hotel and felt terrible the rest of the day, but was able to at least get on that connection flight and get out. And yeah, it was it was one of those experiences that'll rank up there as, top 5 for sure.
Yeah.
Not number 1. Number 1, Haiti mission trip still holds that one.
Oh, is that the one where you were basically in a room by yourself for like days at a time?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You lost a couple of days of your life, basically?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, it was awful. And so no, it wasn't quite to that extreme because I didn't, at least I can tell I didn't lose any time. But yeah, it was a rough couple of days.
Absolutely.
And I don't do well with like I don't know, discomfort, maybe. I mean, it's not even discomfort. Like, I'm fine with discomfort, but it's the public displays of discomfort.
Yep.
That's where I really struggle. And so that's, like I said, the whole thing, like, I felt terrible, felt like I could pass out there on the floor of the airport, but like, I was like, that's fine. Just leave me here and let me die, rather than like all these emergency personnel asking me all these questions, who knows? But yeah, so that was my, past couple of days.
Wow.
So
I have a similar story. I don't want to make this the podcast about everybody getting sick.
No, that's great, because then there's just better things ahead.
Well, you're right. But so we just got back from Beautiful Feet Ministries in Fort Worth, and I tell a story sometimes when I go that my first trip there, and I say this to their credit, my first trip there, I got super sick. I went with a different church than the one we were at, and I went to kind of preview the trip with this other church to see if I could take a team there. And my church had never been on a mission trip, and so I thought maybe this would be a one that we could probably manage. So I'm with a bunch of people that we know really well. Steve Given's there with me. His two boys and Shelby are both there. Anna's there. They're all there. So that first day we get there, it was a Christmas trip, and so you get there on a Friday, I think maybe we leave Thursday and we get there super duper late. You work Friday, you're there Saturday, and then you worship with them on Sunday. So we get there Friday. I'm doing the stuff Friday, and I don't feel great, but I'm doing stuff. At some point Friday night, in the lost hours of time where this began to happen, I started to get sick, and I mean really, really sick, like 7, 8, 9 times.
Yeah.
And Saturday, I'm so sick I can't get out of the bed. And if you've ever been to Beautiful Feet, back in the day, they had these wooden bunk beds that were 3 deep. So like you could be on the bottom, which was basically the coffin.
Yeah.
Then you could be in the middle or the top. Well, I was on the bottom. So I'm rolling out of that thing, just making it to the bathroom and making it back. It turns out I wasn't the only one on this trip that got sick. One of Steve's sons gets sick too. And so we're back and forth, just sharing the bathroom. Well, I get up late Saturday, and I try to spend some time with some people. I'm feeling better. Sunday, I'm able to worship with them. Well, what's better about that is the limited experience I had with that trip, even in the middle of all that sickness, made me want to go back over and over and over again. And so, like, to go back again this past week and experience that again. I could have let that really bad experience, that one bad day, kind of ruin that for me forever. And the reality of the situation is it didn't, thankfully. And it's been a place that's basically been transformative for our family. And so I would encourage people, don't let a really bad moment or a really bad day or a really bad week even shape things in a way that makes you miss out on a possible future that could be really great.
Yeah, that's right. And because as we kind of talked about with Better Things Ahead, we all go through these different journeys,
Sure.
whether it's milestone type journeys or these life experience things, and how you combat and walk through adversity, all these kinds of things. And so it's what this whole idea is about, is figuring out how do you navigate those things, come out on the other side, then help someone else who will inevitably walk through that. So, so for this week, as we kind of introduce, season 2, what are some topics that we're going to cover on season 2 that you're maybe looking forward to?
Yeah. So like there are several that I think would be really great. I mean, one is the college journey. And I'll share really quickly as a way of kind of giving an update on our family and this thing of Better Things Ahead. One of the very first interviews we had on the podcast was our oldest son, Jackson. And he was about to start college. He was about to start his journey in college baseball. And we didn't really know how that was going to go. We were nervous about that. He was nervous about it. And there were some ups and downs through it. We walked through the entire thing with him, and they ended up. I don't think we got to share this last time. They ended up winning the national championship, JUCO Division II national championship, and it was an incredible experience. One of my favorite pictures that I'll ever have on my phone is me and him hugging after the game, after that final game, and just man, like. That was one of those journeys where at the beginning of it, we were all anxious about it, and to experience all that goodness that we got to experience over the course of the year, even though there were some difficulties and even though it was really hard, I think if you were to ask him, that was probably one of the hardest as far as just the mental toughness and the physical toughness that you had to have to be able to get through it. But he said in an interview after that game, that last game, he got interviewed by the radio guy, and he said it was the best year of his life. And that meant losing some things, but it also meant gaining a lot. And a lot of friends, a lot of experiences. And so, I would encourage you guys like that. That's one of those things that we'll talk about a little bit is kind of that college journey. We'll talk about things like weddings and premarital counseling and kind of preparing for weddings and what weddings are like. I mean, there's going to be lots of cool stuff as far as that goes. And I've been a part of a lot of that kind of stuff through the premarital counseling and performing weddings. I see a lot of that over and over and over again. It's funny to see how different families kind of journey through that kind of thing together. I think there's a lot that we can learn and share through experiences that would maybe help some people as they get prepared to do that with their families.
Yeah.
About you?
Yeah. No, I think those would be great. I like, here in just a couple of weeks, we're going to be talking about like kind of starting something, and kind of talking about this idea of, taking that initial step, and I'm excited to kind of talk through that and just kind of wrestle through some of the reasons why, like we have either started or when we didn't start, what prevented us from doing that and how we can kind of overcome some of those things. I'm excited about that conversation. I think budgeting, we had kind of a financial discussion in season 1. This one, we were able to kind of dive into like budgeting specifically and developing a budget and what that looks like. And, because I remember Tim talking the importance of establishing a budget first. And so we're excited to have that conversation and see some of those things. And so I think that'll be great. We're going to talk about forming habits and what that looks like, and so I mean a lot of great things that we kind of as we kind of look through better things ahead, and we even kind of think through this idea of starting new things and kind of having a fresh start to things. But I think it's great, and so that's kind of, I think a lot of these conversations will kind of circle over the next several episodes.
I think it's important to think about the idea of fresh starts as a thing that can happen at any point. It's just a matter of us deciding, right? Like we just have to make a decision and then go with it. And I think part of what, and we'll probably talk about this more at another time, but like part of what hangs us up is we spend all our time trying to get to the point of feeling like something, and instead of worrying about how we feel about a specific thing, just deciding this is what we're going to do. And then going from there. I think that's a really hard place for us to get to a lot of times, and it kind of prevents us from moving forward.
That's good. So we are excited about our upcoming season 2 of Better Things Ahead, and we are just excited to have these conversations and kind of walk through some of these journeys together. And so we look forward to joining you over these next several episodes this week. We appreciate you listening and checking in with us, and have a great week.
Thanks for joining us on Better Things Ahead. Follow us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for videos of the podcast. Until next time, keep moving forward, because there are always better things ahead.